everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Soshtwi. It has been a very long time, but I'm finally back. I keep making these videos like every couple of months whenever I feel like it. I have been reading some really great books this year. I don't think I've had a single bad book this year at all. My lowest rating has gone to like 3 stars. That's my lowest that's been this year. So I've been having a really great year with books, and I also am currently in the middle of a really good book, and I'll be reading some really good books ahead as well. So I'm just in a really good mood when it comes to my books this year, and I feel like I want to talk about everything. I want to talk about all the books I've read so far and how I'm feeling about them, and I want to recommend them to you. There are some really great books in here, so I really want you guys to pick them up as well. So here I am talking about all the books I've been reading in 2026. Okay, to start the year off, last year I had kind of an up and down year when it comes to reading. I ended the year on a slump as well and on some not very great books. So I was kind of in a place where I wasn't enjoying any of the books I was reading, and I feel like coming into the new year I was like, fresh start, fresh slate. Let's just pick up a new book, something trustworthy, an author that's trustworthy that I know I will enjoy. I decided to go with the one author that I usually go for in a slump, which is Elle Kennedy. If you don't know Elle Kennedy somehow, she is like the OG sports writer, hockey romance writer. I really enjoy her books. Some of her books can be a little here and there, but for the most part, all her books are really enjoyable, all her characters are really enjoyable. And if there's one thing I've come to learn about myself, is that her books will pick me out of a slump every single time. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up another book by her, and I picked up The Play. She writes interconnected hockey romances. So she has her main series, which is the Briar U series, and then she has another series that comes after that, and this is the third book in that series. Of course, you don't have to read them in order, but I like to go in the order of release. So I picked up The Play back in January. I really enjoyed it, although I must say, I feel like as much as I appreciate all her books, sometimes I feel like they get a little too sex heavy, in the sense that in this book, the book starts off with our guy Hunter, who's sworn off sex because he thinks that he's, really problematic when he's like too involved with girls. So he's like, you know what, I will just not get involved this year. This season I'm gonna focus on my game, which was my hockey game. Fair enough, but this man is so addicted to sex, he gets aroused by anything that moves. Anything that moves, he's immediately aroused by. He's aroused by his own best friends. Like, it's just, the first 50 pages were a train wreck to read, to be honest. Like, I was genuinely concerned for him. Like, after a point I was like, I think he needs help, and I genuinely thought maybe that's the direction we'll go in eventually, that he needs to seek out professional help for his habits. We did not go there, but I feel like she just, like, sometimes the way she writes about young adults and people in college and sex is like, I don't think they're thinking about sex 24/7, and they don't want sex 24/7. Sometimes there is a thing as too much. There is a thing as too much. Normal people don't get aroused by their best friends just because they're missing sex. Okay, the beginning of this book was a little hard to adjust to, and I was like, but like I said, she's great at writing her characters and her stories really well. The romances flow really well. So eventually, once we got past that stage, the book was really fun. Both the characters were super fun, the story was pretty good as well. It was enjoyable. So ultimately, I did have a good time with the book, but that one thing was really unsettling. So just keep that in mind if you're going into this book. It's a good book. The smuttiness factor is a little too much. Moving on from The Play though, I pivoted a 180 to a completely different book, which is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, this is my first Dostoevsky. Never read his books before, but I've always wanted to, so I picked up White Nights finally. It's a collection of short stories, kind of. It's like a novella. Like, these are 4 nights that we covered, so 4 short stories of the 4 nights of this man who meets a stranger, a woman, and falls in love with her. And it's a story about like momentary love and bliss and unrequited love. It's about essentially this man who's a wanderer and who's trying to find himself, and how he loses himself in love. It's a great book, honestly. Like, I think for sure you have to adjust yourself when you enter a classic, that okay, this is a classic, let's read that with this mindset. And once you do that, it's a fantastic book. It's really fun. I think it was really interesting to see in such a short amount of pages, to see how our narrator works and how the woman in this book Nastenka works as well, and how they kind of reacted to each other and the different approaches to love that we see. It was really interesting at parts, though my modern self was a little bit scared for her, like why is she giving out her address to this random man she's never met before, like, you know. But again, you gotta readjust your mind. This is a classic. It was written in like the 1800s or something. Like it's a while. It makes sense for the time. It makes sense from like a very romantic point of view. So you know what, jump ahead, forget it. I mean, so you ignore things like that, the book becomes a lot more enjoyable and you can see the deeper themes into it. I haven't read anything else by him. I would love to, and hopefully in the future, in this year itself, I will. But I do think that this was the right book to start off with. After that, I've made it pretty known that I really enjoy Emily Henry's books a lot. And People We Meet on Vacation came out this year, and I was saving myself. I was saving reading the book until the movie came out. So I read the book just the night before, I think, the movie came out, and I really enjoyed it. The book was fantastic. There are things here and there that, you know, are debatable. I had a conversation with my friend as well about how maybe she's promoting slow living and being a certain type of woman to your man a little too much in all her books. But that's a minor conversation. I've discussed that more in depth in my Instagram if you want to check it out. But on the larger surface, like, I really enjoyed this book. It was really good, one of her better books. I think Happy Place is still my favorite, but I loved Poppy and Alex. I loved the vacation setting. I loved all the back and forth between their past and their future, and just like I had a great time. The only place where I feel like the book came short was like them actually being in love. In the sense that their transition from being best friends to being a couple was a little too quick, and I wasn't able to adjust to it, and it felt off. Like when they were in their best friends phase, it was beautiful to read about, but suddenly they're in a proper couple phase, and I didn't feel like I transitioned well into it, and it was a little hard to adjust to that side of them. Regardless, it was a great book. I watched the movie as well. Did not enjoy the movie as much. I think it's a nice one-time watch, but there's just so much depth lacking to their romance and to the characters, especially Alex. I feel like he's just, who is Alex, you know, in the movie? I have no idea. So the movie was okay. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Aesthetically, it was pleasing to watch, but the book, far better. And again, I had a really good time. I love the book. Next, after this, I read a book that's not as well known by people. So I would love to recommend this one because this is another author that I really enjoy. If you like Emily Henry's books, this next author is Emily Henry, but make it young adult. And I'm talking about Morgan Matson. She writes young adult novels for the most part, but they're not like young adult in the sense of like for like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, but more like the older teens, and even for people like me in their 20s. Her books, even though she writes about teenagers like 16 to 18, 19-year-olds, it's still enjoyable for me to read, honestly. And over the years, it's getting harder and harder for me to read books about teenagers, but somehow Morgan Matson writes them so well that you're not thinking about the age of the characters or thinking about how this is clearly catering to a younger crowd. You're thinking about the story itself and the characters itself. And I really always feel like if a story is good enough, it doesn't matter who the crowd it's catering to or who, you know, how old the characters are. Honestly, Morgan Matson is the kind of writer who makes me feel like, you know, people can read books of all ages if the story is that good. And this book is definitely one of those. The Unexpected Everything is about this girl who's very much like, she's a straight A student who's very much type A kind of. She's like a very type A personality, and she has like a whole life figured out. And her dad is a politician, a local politician. And this book takes place over the summer, and just before summer begins, she has a summer planned out. She knows where she's interning, she's gonna be a doctor, all of these things. She has a life figured out, but then her dad gets into a scandal, and because of the scandal that he gets into, she gets rejected from the place that she was supposed to intern at and her medical program and everything. And now her life is kind of upside down. Her dad is out of a job, he's at home, she doesn't get along with her dad, all her plans are ruined, and she is coming to learn that she doesn't actually even know who she is. The whole book takes place over her summer and how she finds herself again, figures out what she likes, what she doesn't like, figures out her friends, figures out love, and it's just so beautiful, so fun to spend time with her characters. Honestly, like, our main character is Andy, and honestly it was great spending time with her and our love interest and her friends, her dad as well. She's so good at making you love her characters even if they seem difficult to love. And just like in Emily Henry's books, like, you know, they give a lot of like summery vacation vibes. There's a lot of activities happening. There's so much that the characters are doing, and you see so much of their personalities thrive, and a lot of like friendship dynamics and stuff like that. All of that good stuff you get in Emily Henry books, you get in Morgan Matson as well. So honestly, this book was so much fun to read. It's the perfect summer book, and I would highly recommend. The next book I read was online, and a little bit of backstory to this. Growing up, back when I was a teenager and I was obsessed with Disney shows, I was in love with Shake It Up, right? The Zendaya and Bella Thorne Shake It Up. That's right. This is so niche. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but Zendaya and Bella Thorne had acted in the book trailers for a book called Bad Girls Don't Die. It's a young adult horror trilogy, and both of them acted in the trailers for the second and the third book. And ever since then, purely because of those trailers, I was like, I want to read these books so bad. And I always enjoyed horror, so I was like, why not? Back when I was in my mid-teens, I was like, I want to pick up these books, and I had them on my list and everything. And over the years, I kind of just like forgot it until this year. For somehow I came across a reel about those books, and I was like, this sparks a memory. And immediately I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get this book online and I'm gonna read it. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first horror book actually. For someone who loves watching horror movies, I've never tried to read a book, and I'm really glad I did because it was so enjoyable. My first horror book. Was it predictable? Yes. But was it fun? Absolutely yes. Honestly, reading the book, at times I was getting spooked myself. The book is about this girl and her sister who has a lot of dolls. It's a classic dolls slash haunted house horror story. So she lives in a house that has some history, and her sister has a lot of dolls, and it's like, you know, someone's haunting the narrative. There's a little bit of possession involved, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun book. It's for teenagers, but I had so much fun. I felt spooked at times. I was like laughing at times. It was one of those books where it's like, you know, it was predictable, but I was like, I don't care if it's predictable, it's fun. And I will be reading the second and third books, and if you like horror, would recommend. Then another book I waited to pick up until the movie came out, which was The House Made by Frida McFadden. It's a very quick read. I read this overnight as well. I couldn't put it down. It was very interesting, very well written, predictable as hell, absolutely, but still very fun. I like the places that the author went to. She's not afraid to try with a lot of weird things, and this is my first book by her, so I'm definitely intrigued to read other books by her as well, because I love reading mysteries where our characters are unhinged, and that's what we got in this book. So I had a lot of fun with this. I'm debating if I want to read the second book now or if I should wait for the movie to come out. We shall see, but as of now, this book was really fun. Predictable but really fun. Once again, would recommend. I watched the movie as well. Movie was okay, one time watch for sure. Wasn't particularly bad, but it wasn't anything great either. It's a one-time watch. I think Amanda Seyfried saved that movie, honestly. But the book I would recommend. And if you have recommendations for what books of hers I should read next, let me know about that as well. The next book that I read is a book that has been on my mind ever since I read it. Like, I cannot escape thinking about this book. It has changed my life, and it's called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Now, I've read one other book by her, Yellowface. Love that book as well. This is my second book by her. Just by the way, if you've read Yellowface, this book is very different from it. I think she writes in a lot of different genres. This one is high fantasy, dystopianish. That's where this falls. It's inspired by East Asian mythology. It's basically about our character Rin, who is in the middle of prepping for a third world war, basically in their world. They've had 2 wars already called the Poppy Wars, and this is the third one that's approaching soon. They know what's gonna happen. It's about her schooling and eventually about how she falls into being the epicenter of this war. There's a lot of other elements to the book as well. We have some magic systems going on, a little bit of shamanism. I feel like the synopsis I'm giving doesn't do it justice. It's not just a book about some girl fighting in a war in a dystopian novel with her magic powers. Like, that's not what the book is at all. Like, I feel like those words are too small for what this book actually is. This book is about, honestly, war and crime and passion and ambition and like society and culture and class and the implication of the existence of religion and class in our life. And there's a whole like power struggle going on in this book as well. Like, it's just It's so dynamic and it's so full. It's so full, so vivid, so flowing. It's so deeply unsettling and devastating as well. I will say, I feel like I need to give out a warning. Be careful with this book. If you feel like whatever's happening around the world is a little triggering for you, take your time with this book. Especially the bit right at the end over here is insanity. But I feel like it's wholly needed for people to read this book. Like, I cannot recommend this enough. I want everyone I know to read this book. It's a heavy one, but it's so worth it. But it's also incredibly beautiful. It's enlarging, you know, I don't know, for my mind at least. And it's also, interestingly, somehow quite funny as well. And just Rin in this book, our main character, oh my god, the way she's fleshed out her character, so intriguing. She's a character who is both easy to love and hard to love. Navigating my emotions towards her has been such an interesting time, honestly. And it's a trilogy, by the way. This is the first book. I'm on the second book right now, like 200 pages into it. So I'm really excited to see where I go ahead with Rin and in this world and what happens next. So this is not the conclusion of the story, but oh my god, I am really blown away by this book. Like, everything I heard about this on the internet is true. This book is fantastic and devastating, and I would recommend it. The next one was a cutie little short book by Frederick Bachman, and it is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. The title's like really long for a book that's this tiny, but once you read the book, you understand why this is the title of the book. If you know this, I am a huge fan of Frederick Bachman. I love every single book I've read by him so far. I feel like his books are honestly life-changing for me. He's definitely one of my favorite authors of all time. Even though this book was so tiny, and I read this in like 20 minutes, again, just some beautiful prose in here. He just has such a way with his words, and I also want to mention it's translated by Alice Menzies. And seriously, both of them have such a way with words. Like, I just, every single time, if you like to feel things and if you like to be full of like feelings, this is the author for you. And if you've read all his other books, I would recommend reading this one as well. It's tiny, it's small, you think it won't have an impact, but it will. The book is about this old man who's talking to his grandson, and that's all I'll tell you. That's all you need to know. And it's not one of those like this old man preaching life's lessons at his son kind of a book. It's not like a Tuesdays with Maury either. It's its own thing, and it's beautiful, and you should read it. The next book I read, now this one honestly seems disappointing compared to the pile up I have over here, compared to the rest of my year, but it still wasn't bad. And I'm talking about Between Us by Mary McFarlane, or Mari McFarlane. I don't know how to say her name. But yeah, I read Between Us. This is my first book by this author, and I picked this up because one of my closest friends is a huge fan of this author. She loves her books, and she's been at my throat all of last year to pick up one of her books, especially this one. So I finally read, and honestly, I did not have a lot of fun with this one. It wasn't very good, for me at least, for me. It's about our main girl. Her name is Roshan, I'm not sure what her name is, and about her boyfriend Joe and their entire friend group. And it's about her realizing that there are things that her boyfriend has been hiding from her, and realizing that her relationship is not what she thought it was. You know, maybe falling out of love with your boyfriend and falling in love with someone else, and just like, it's a contemporary about her life. That's what this book is about. And honestly, it's not very interesting. Like, she's just boring. Her life is boring. I love contemporaries. I love books about people navigating people. Every time you pick up a book, you're just like, okay, so this is a main character, but why do I want to read about them? Are they like fantastic individuals? Are they terrible people? Have they made a mistake? Is there some situation in their life that's like really interesting and needs to be figured out? Like, there has to be some kind of a reason for you to want to read about your main character, for you to want to either root for or not root for your main character. But she's just so bland and plain and vanilla. Like, I'm just like, I don't know why I should care for you. I don't know why I care to finish this entire book and read your story, because you have nothing to say. And honestly, her entire friend group, they're all the same people. They're all so cardboard. Like, I literally Do not ask me a thing about your friend group. Don't even ask me their names. I could not tell you who is who. It was just very bland people, bland story. The only thing I enjoyed in this was her writing style. Her writing style is beautiful. So I would be interested to pick up some other book by this author because, you know, her writing is good. So maybe this book, this plot wasn't for me. I still give it a 3 stars because the writing was really fun. And there were moments here and there when I was like, oh, this felt nice. But overall, this book was really flat. And it definitely pales in comparison to all the other books I've read this year. I felt a lot more positive about this book when I read it. But over time, I think I feel more and more negative about this. Maybe my rating goes a little lower now, I think. I don't know. I read this, did not enjoy it. I personally wouldn't recommend. And the latest book I read was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now this, I had no plans to read this, honestly. I was intrigued by it, but I was never like, I need to read this book, I need to watch the movie. But then the internet hyped it up so much at the release of the movie, like so incredibly much. I was like, I'm getting FOMO. I need to figure out, I also want to know what it is about this book. So I picked up the book and I was like, within 3 days, I was like, I need to pick up the book and watch the movie. So I picked up the book. Loved the book. Honestly, I get it. I get every one of you who is saying this book is fucking fantastic and life-changing. It's a beautiful book. On the cover of the book, the Times has said that the book is life-affirming, and those are the exact right words for this book. It's life-affirming. That's what this book is. It is beautiful. It's about a man stuck in space trying to save his homeland, Earth. I wrote a whole review about this on my Instagram. Please check that out because I feel like the way I talked about the book on my Instagram is like exactly it. My feelings for this book. I loved Ryland in this book. I loved Rocky in this book. I loved science. God, it gave me such an appreciation for science and life and humanity. Honestly, like how I felt about this is that when I was reading this, I felt like I was on a nice long date with myself. When a book makes you like spending time with yourself and love yourself, that means it's a great fucking book. My only complaint, if I had to give one about this book, would be that I would have loved to get a little bit more depth at the end of this book, because there's a lot that happens at the end of this book. If you've read the book and you've watched the movie, you know some big decisions get made, and I would have liked to explore his inner mind during those moments, because we got to know him really well from the rest of the book. But this could have been fleshed out a little bit more. And also the ending of the very end, the conclusion of this book was fun, nice, but it took me a second to be like, oh, this is the ending of the book, you know. But apart from that, honestly, no complaints. This book is fucking fantastic. I watched the movie as well, like I said, in IMAX, and it was good. It was really good. It was fun. I had a good laugh. I had a good time. I don't think it's like the best movie ever of this year or whatever people are saying it is. People hyped it up so much, I thought it was gonna be like Interstellar or something. It was very much not. But that being said, it was a good movie. Would I watch it again? Not necessarily. I do think the book is better. Who's surprised? But I would definitely recommend both as well. Like especially the book, hands down pick it up. And I would say this, if you think you don't like science fiction, still go ahead and pick up this book. I thought that as well. I thought science fiction is not for me. And I don't know why I always keep thinking science fiction is not for me. But every time I pick up a science fiction book, I end up loving all of them. I've loved all the science fiction books I've read so far in my life. So I don't know why I keep having this thought in my head that it's not for me. But I clearly enjoy them. But also I will say, even if you genuinely do not enjoy science fiction, this book you will. This book you will. It treats all the scientific elements in this book with so much care and consideration. Honestly, no matter what genre you like to read, go for this book. You will not be disappointed, I can guarantee that. And that's all the books I've been reading this year. That's like 10 books. I'm currently in the middle of Poppy War 2. Really excited, having fun with that as well. Yeah, just really happy with all the books I've been reading so far. I've been having a lot of good time with my books. I have some really good books on the way too. I've bought a lot of books and all of them are like you know, sometimes you buy a book and you can just tell that it's going to be a good book. Based off what you've heard or what you've seen or your own experience, you're just like, I know this is going to be good. I've bought a bunch of books like that. So I know for a fact I'm having a great reading year this year. So stay tuned. I will be doing more videos talking about what else I'm reading through the year. Pick up any of these, you will have a good time. If you have any recommendations for me, drop them down below. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you think. I would love to know how you felt about any of these books that you've read. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on my Instagram, like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.